Hi, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my StarOS Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 116. Any articles or videos mentioned can be found on my website at intergalacticherald.com. Just look for News Recap 164. So just a quick summary of things to go over today. Beyond the Horizon put out a couple videos. The StarOS community team did their weekly brew. And there was an announcement of an upcoming UE5 update to StarOS. Before I did that, just want to talk a couple things that I'm working on. One, I do always want to mention, if you go to intergalacticherald.com, in addition to finding the news recap, the link to this podcast, it is got a beginner's guide for StarOS and a number of directories of StarOS content creators, builders, tools, pretty much anything anybody mentions that might be valuable to have a link. So again, do check that out at intergalacticherald.com. As of the taping of this podcast, my StarOS proposal for an in-person community meetup platform is now open for voting. It is listed as PIP number 15. Really appreciate any support. If you have some Polis and you've staked it and you would like to vote, obviously I hope you would vote yes, but if you want to vote no, I understand. To each power to the people. Please go to govern.staros.com. You'll be able to find that. There's also another proposal up for the soon-to-be renamed EVI to help support that content creator, Horizon Sun. Just trying to remember. Two of those pips are up. So again, obviously I'm biased toward mine, but do check those out. And again, if you'd like to support with your vote, I really appreciate it. And then the other two StarOS projects I'm working on is my StarOS merch store, Intergalactic Gear, found at intergalacticgear.com. Open for business, just a few things. Obviously, I've been busy working on the proposal, so I haven't done much on that. There's also a merch survey there. If you're interested, love for you to fill that out and tell me some other merch you might be interested in. And then one of my, I guess I have too many projects, but one of my back burner projects is to StarOS gamer community. So this would be a place for gamers who don't want to join the StarOS Guild, maybe you'd like a different environment than StarOS Discord, hoping to have a place where we can chat, but the platform will be a little different than Discord. It'll be more about threaded discussions and the ability to get like email alerts when there's new updates. So you don't always have to be checking and you can keep up on things that you're interested in. Please go to intergalacticcoalition.com and there's an interest survey there. So let's get into the bulk of the podcast. Again, going over some of the content that was created this past week. Beyond the Horizon put out an interesting video about the guns of StarOS. And again, there's a shooter involved now. It was cool to see that. I'm not sure if he got the video from other people or if he went through and recorded himself. But again, it was great to see some of the different things. The StarOS Brew occurred on Wednesday. The topic of this one was actually businesses in StarOS. So there was a couple other business owners that were there. I'm trying to remember everybody. But again, you can find the link to the StarOS TV recording of that on my newsletter. It's on my website, and that's News Recap number 164. The Atlas Brew also did talk a little bit about why people might want to build on the Star Atlas. Not necessarily, I guess it could be on the Star Atlas platform itself. The game could be related, kind of like merch stores, like what I'm doing. And again, it was a great, I think, community discussion. On the StarOS Discord, they did post an announcement that the UE5 version of Star Atlas will be getting another update on May 14th. Had a number of things listed there that they're hoping to, and I'll go over a little bit that in a second when I talk about kind of the state of StarOS. And then lastly, Beyond the Horizon did produce another video. This time he went over the updated Sage patch notes for some upcoming changes to the Sage program. So that was the content of this past week. So I'll go ahead and get into my next segment, thinking and analyzing and giving my thoughts on kind of the state of Star Atlas for the last week. Definitely glad to see the consistent updates that are coming to the UE5 version. That's definitely different than in years past. I'm not sure if this is the third or the fourth, but they are coming at a pretty decent cadence. It feels almost like once a month. The big thing, at least that I took away, and again, wasn't that I wasn't paying attention, but again, you got to get out of old habits, is we just aren't used to these updates, so they come and go. But the real big one that sounds like is coming is dedicated servers. And the benefit of this is for once you don't have to start and then have people join your server. Again, you can just join things. And this is one of those things that you take for granted that you just expect this. But again, as we're seeing StarOS be built in public in very early phases, this just wasn't something they were going to put on. And so the fact that now this appears to be something they're going to support, and I'm crossing my fingers that this stays, unlike the multiplayer version we had with the Metagravity technology that was then taken down. Not sure on the technical thing. I'm sure they'll get into it. In fact, the Atlas Brew, they mentioned that next week they might have, I think he got a promotion, but Chipto to talk about what's going on with the update. So we'll probably get a lot more information on some of the technical. But my understanding is this is based upon Epic Unreal, the makers of the game engine's server technology. So unlike the other one, this isn't necessarily a blockchain one. Yes, you can say it's more traditional gaming, but again, the shooter seems more traditional. So anyways, I do think this is a great development, and again, looking forward to hearing more next week, and then, of course, seeing if this does allow the fact that you can just connect whenever you want to. Also, and I admit I got distracted with some personal stuff today, so I haven't actually listened to Beyond the Horizon's Sage patch notes, but it is, again, glad to see that there are updates happening, so that's good that they're continuing to go forward with that. And then just real briefly on the businesses, I know this may not appeal to everybody who's just looking at Star Atlas as a game or as a crypto game or whatever, but as someone who is building a business and did go through the application process for the Star Atlas build program, which gives us access to the IP assets, so graphics and things like that. It is really great that Star Atlas has provided this as obviously it's slightly self-serving in the sense that if more people build, and that brings people in. But again, a lot of games aren't as open, definitely with their IP, giving it freely for commercial, financial reasons, or building. And so I think it is really great that there is this. And again, I obviously biased, but seeing some of the other builders, and they were on the Atlas Brew showing things that they've been building and things like that. So again, if you want more details, do check that out. And then to summarize, it does still feel like it's a little too calm in the Star Atlas world. But again, we're seeing updates to Sage, we're seeing another update to UE5, and it was slipped that July there may be some big announcements or updates or something like that. So in some senses, maybe the calm before the storm, or just there's holding things back. But again, updates to Sage, updates to UE5, it might just be the last couple weeks have been calm. And then the final section, just talking about my journey playing Star Atlas. Nothing really new to report within my goal, which again, I'm trying to craft a Mamba X. So I'm going through the different resources, still at the beginning, but only because carbon was gigantic amount. I think I calculated like 72 million or something. I was able to mine those, slowly moving them back. I think, I look at my notes, I'm down to 23 million left to move. So slowly moving about 500,000 every 12 hours or so. I don't know. I haven't got the calculation. But anyways, that's moving. I got my one little Armstrong tip mining iron ore, and it's slowly going through. It needed some more food and fuel, so I decided to use my one little spare ship to bring some stuff out to it. So yeah, just going through there. I did almost run out of soul, and I was going to transfer some over, and I was like, oh my word, it's going to cost like $2 to transfer $8 worth of soul. And I was like, I thought fees, and then I did some research, and Phantom Wallet has some built-in priority fees. And then at the last, I went ahead and did it anyways because I needed to do it, but I was like, that's not sustainable to transfer for $2. And it felt like when I was transferring things on, Ethereum years ago, and because they have higher fees. But then I realized later that the display was not in number of SOL, it was actually in USDC. So it turned out to be 1.3 pennies. So I was like, oh, that's perfectly fine. So even if there was some priority fees in there, that's perfectly fine. So anyways, just sometimes you look at things and you see things different, or they change the interface. So anyway, so now I got more SOL there to cover all the transaction fees. So just going through that, and that's pretty much it. Slow and sure there. Again, I know I've said that if you've listened before, I'm going to research more on local markets and things like that. I just don't have any time in business and family stuff and doing too many things, especially with this Star Atlas proposal. So anyways, that's what I've been doing. Thanks for listening. Again, to wrap up, again, totally open if anybody wants to be a podcast guest. I know I say that and then I never have guests, but someday maybe. Do go to intergalacticherald.com, look for the contact page. Again, happy to have people on, other community members, any builders who want to talk about their projects, other content creators, and obviously anybody on the Star Atlas team. Love to chat. And then just the final reminder, the 3 StarOS things I'm working on. Of course, my website, Intergalactic Herald, which again has the beginner's guide, some directories, and of course, this podcast and things like that. In fact, I'm actually working on a new recap content. So hopefully I have some information about that soon. Actually, it's already up on the website. I just still working out the behind the scenes thing. And then again, my merch store is open for business at intergalacticgear.com. And again, if you want to join a group of other StarOS gamers, please check out intergalacticcoalition.com. Trying to get enough people interested in that, and I will start building that community. So anyways, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this. This is Matt with Intergalactic Herald. Have a great week ahead.